We've talked about what medical aid in dying is and where it's legal. But now comes a harder question, one that goes beyond law and medicine. If God designed human life, what happens when we give ourselves the authority to decide when that life should end? Tonight, we're not giving answers. We're asking questions. If life is something we own, then choosing when it ends makes sense. But if life is something entrusted to us, who actually has the authority to decide when it's over? At what point did the power over death quietly shift from something outside of us to something placed entirely in our hands? When pain increases, when independence fades, when someone needs constant care, does the value of that life change? Or does suffering simply reveal how much support that life needs? And if we say a life is still sacred even when it's weak, dependent, or costly, what does it say about us when death begins to feel like a solution? We often hear MAiD described as compassion. But what is compassion really? Is it ending suffering by ending life, or is it staying present when suffering makes us uncomfortable? Is compassion about removing pain, or about refusing to abandon someone when pain arrives? Medicine has always been about healing, preserving, and comforting. So when medicine begins offering death as an outcome, does something fundamental change? When the same system that promises to protect life also offers a way to end it, how does that reshape trust for patients, families, and doctors? Our culture places enormous value on control. Control over our bodies, control over our future, control over our ending. But faith asks a different question. Is there a point where trust replaces control? And if there is the end of life one of those moments? When death becomes an option, does it stay an option, or does it quietly become an expectation? For the elderly, for the disabled, for those who feel like a burden. How do we protect the vulnerable in a system where the exit is medically approved? In Scripture, death is described as an enemy. But in modern policy, death is increasingly framed as relief. So which story are we telling, that death is something to be defeated or something to be deployed? These aren't easy questions, but they matter because they shape the kind of society we become and how we treat people at their most fragile moments. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. Do you believe MAiD aligns with God's design for human life or challenges it? Where do you draw the line between compassion and control? Share your perspective in the comments. Let's talk respectfully, honestly, and thoughtfully.